All right, so we got another video for you guys here today. This one is going to be special because this is one of my favorite books of all time, okay? And this book is absolutely incredible. It's called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And if you haven't read this, I highly recommend you pick it up. It's a short read. I think from what I remember, it's like five hours, maybe even 4 hours. It's a very short read and it's jam-packed with information. I'm gonna give you guys 4 points to take away in this book, but there's a lot more in this book. It's just jam-packed with just absolute gold. But let's get right into it, okay? So number one, momentum is extremely underrated and is one of the most powerful forces of success, okay? So momentum, it's so underrated because once you start the ball, once you get the train going, it's hard to stop at that point. And I'm not going to go deep into this point because the next couple of points are basically going to be, building on top of that. So I'm going to get right into those and we'll overall discuss everything. Number two, discipline, habits, and consistency will create momentum, which will lead to success. Discipline, habits, and consistency, okay? So you see that motivation is nowhere in there. It's just discipline, habits, and consistency. These are the things that lead you to momentum, which leads you to success. Okay, so I want you to think about that. These little things that you do every single day, which is the majority of the book, these small little things that may seem insignificant. Like let's say, for example, you go to the gym or you exercise for 10 or 15 minutes a day. It seems insignificant, and even after a course of like a month or two, you might not see any noticeable differences. But the thing with these things is in the long run, 6 months, 1 year, after a while, you're gonna see the compound effect of these things. Where, let's say for example, if you're a poker player and you study, let's say just as little as 10 to 20 minutes per day, at first, the results are often invisible. That's why most people don't do it. They're like, oh, I don't really see any direct results from this. But after a while, after 6 months, after 1 year, after 2 years, after 5 years, you get so far ahead. If you're implementing these daily habits consistently every single day into your routine, and you go so far, this can take you so far. And I know it because I do this in my daily life. And it's these small little things that you do every single day that really add up so much in the long run. And if you really think about it, I want you to think about it this way. Sometimes we feel very motivated, right? And I don't really believe in motivation. I don't think we should do anything on motivation. I never think we should rely on motivation. I always say motivation is just a feeling, right? And that feeling is not always gonna be there with you. So tomorrow, let's say right now, I'm very motivated. But then let's say tomorrow I wake up and I'm not that motivated anymore. Let's say I'm not motivated next week, whatever it is. And just because I'm not motivated doesn't mean I'm not still gonna implement the habits and those little things that I wanna do every single day just because I don't have that feeling. See, I don't feel motivated every day to work. I don't feel motivated every day to go to the gym. I don't always have that motivation there. The motivation comes and goes, but I have the discipline and I've set those habits in stone that those are the things that I do every single day, no matter how I feel, whether I feel like it or not. That's the most important thing. You do these things that you set out to do, whether you feel like it or not. And it's important to start small, okay? Starting small is one of the most important things because I remember, this is a story I've told in the past too. After I went to Date with Destiny with a Tony Robbins event, I came back and I was just like, I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna crush it. Like I'm gonna read 2 hours a day. I'm gonna study 3 hours a day. I'm gonna play poker, 1 billion hours. Like I had all these math because I was so motivated, right? But once that feeling of motivation wore off, what happened was I just started dreading it. I'm like, I started like dreading every day. I'm like, I gotta wake up today and I gotta do an hour of this, 2 hours of this. It was just too much. It was just simply too much. And this book explains, partly about that too, where, naturally, like as humans, sometimes we think, okay, I'm either gonna go to the gym for an hour or I'm not gonna go at all, which makes no sense. Why not go to the gym for 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day? Do something small enough that you feel good about and that you think you can sustain in the long term. This is gonna be the next point coming up right now. Do something small enough that you think you can sustain long term, whether you're motivated or not, that you can do every single day, that you're never gonna be dreading to do. So that's the key there. You don't ever wanna absolutely dread doing something. You're probably putting too much on your plate if you're dreading a certain something. There's probably too much on your plate. That means you need to cut back. But that doesn't necessarily mean you need to cut out. It means you need to cut back, okay? I had a couple friends, one of them in particular, I'm not gonna say anybody's name, but he was a guy, he used to go to the gym 2 hours, I think he was saying like 2 hours per session. And yeah, while you're motivated, that's all good. Let's go to the gym 2 hours, no problem. You can do that, but it's not sustainable. After a while, he started dreading it. So he went from 2 hours to 0. From 2 hours to 0. You don't want to do that. Go from 2 hours to 30 minutes. Or if 30 minutes is too much of a dread for you, go from 30 minutes to 15 minutes. Do something. Those small little things add up over time. And that's the entire gist of the compound effect. But let's get to number 3, which is partially what we just kind of discussed right there. Build sustainable habits that you consistently do long term. So too often, like while we're in that feeling of motivation, which is not reliable, like we talked about, the motivation is complete garbage. I don't think anybody should rely on motivation. We should never even think about motivation. It's not even something that's really in my realm of reality. Sometimes the motivation is there, sometimes it's not. I don't care if it's there or not. I'm still gonna do what I gotta do and what I wanna do to help me reach my long-term goals every single day, okay? Whether the motivation is with me or whether it's not, no matter how I'm feeling, I'm gonna do it every single day. And this talks about, build habits that are sustainable, like we just spoke about. Let's say, for example, you're working on your business like 10 hours per day because you're motivated and it's not sustainable. You can't do that long term. Cut it down to 6 or 7 hours. Cut it down to a certain time that you feel good about and that you're not going to dread. Same thing with the gym. Same thing with meditation. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to meditate for 30 minutes. You don't have to meditate for 30 minutes. You don't have to do it for even 20 minutes. You can meditate for 2 minutes if you wanted to. Just implement it into your daily life. Start mega small. Just to see, how you can do this long term. And is this sustainable for you, or do you want to cut back on it? If you ever have days where you're just 100% dreading, every bone in your body is dreading something that you're doing, that's a good sign that you should probably cut down on it a little bit. Let's say you exercise for 45 minutes or an hour per day. Okay, let's say it's like an hour per day. And you're exercising and you're just dreading it before it starts. You're like, oh my God. You don't even want to do it at all. It's okay to dread it a little bit, or if you're like not looking forward to it, you're not, feeling great about it. You're like, oh, okay, whatever, I guess I'll do this. That's fine. But if you're dreading it, you're like, oh my God, this sounds like a nightmare. That means you need to cut back. But again, it doesn't mean you need to cut out. It means you need to cut back. That doesn't mean you do no exercising, but you can take the 1 hour down to 30 minutes. See if you dread that. Stick with that for a month or two. If you're dreading that, take it down to 20, take it down to 15. Do it. Bring it down to a point where you feel somewhat okay about it, okay? That's the key here. build sustainable long-term habits. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't kill yourself. Build these things slowly, and these small little things that seem invisible are going to compound and bring you great success in your life. So as long as you consistently do them, okay? And then also obviously to make sure you're continuing to do this, we have the reward system, but I talk about that a lot. So I'm not going to get into that in this video here, but if you want to, the reward system is all over my channel. I mentioned that in a lot of different videos. Number 4, if you stumble or have a drawback, don't beat yourself up about it or overthink it. Just get right back on track. I mean, we're humans. We all have these little setbacks, these stumbles and these drawbacks. Maybe you get lost in a loop of procrastination, and then you notice it, you're aware of it. You don't have to beat yourself up. Oh my God, I can't believe I did this and that. It's not necessary. You can skip all that and just get right back on track, okay? Just get right back on track with your habits and your discipline and your daily things that you wanna do, okay? Now, this doesn't mean you should structure your whole day. You should structure, like I structure most of my day, but then I also structure a time where I don't structure anything, which means like my time off, which I'm lounging around watching TV. During COVID, there's not really much else to do, or going out with friends, like in non-COVID times, going out with friends, socializing, taking random classes, improv classes, watching big UFC events or basketball games or, whatever it may be. You want to have those times too. You don't want your day to just be like productivity, like, 24/7, because then you're going to overwhelm yourself. You're going to kill yourself. You want to have a little bit of a balance there. And to do that, you can use the reward system. I will mention briefly what the reward system is for those of you who haven't seen it in other videos in a very short way. It just basically means when you're doing the things you set out to do on a daily basis. Let's say your things are, I'll just tell you what my things are. I study for 15 minutes every single day with Lucid GTO, and then I meditate for 15 minutes every day, saying 3 things that I'm grateful for, and then I play poker for about 8 hours, let's say. So once you do all those things that you set out to do, then at that point, I also do stretching. I also do 10 minutes of stretching every single day as well. So once I have that all, out of the way, and I do those things that I wanted to do, at the end of it, you give yourself a reward, okay? Your reward could be anything. It can be, for me, my reward is I order an Uber Eats meal. It's like a cheat meal for me because I eat very healthy throughout the day. So it's like a cheat meal for me. I'll have a cheat meal at night. I'll watch a movie. I'll watch one of my favorite shows, and I'll just relax and unwind on the couch. And that's my reward. For other people, it's getting in a jacuzzi tub. For other people, it's taking a walk outside, going to the dog park, whatever it is, like something that brings you pleasure and that's you can reward yourself with after, a day where you've done everything that you've wanted to do or everything that you set out to do, and you're getting closer to your goals. You always want to reward yourself and, keep yourself happy throughout the process as well. So if any of this resonated with you guys, buy this book and read it because it's excellent. And like I said, it's one of the best books I've ever read in my life. And if you guys have any challenges or anything like that, then, type it in the comments down below. I'll come help you guys with that, and we can discuss what's going on. And yeah, like and subscribe on the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.